Hi, everybody. My name is Tony Luceto. I'm the chair of the Comparative History of Ideas Department, and I'm so glad to see many of you here at this virtual information session. As I said just a second ago, we are recording the session so we can share it with others in just a little bit. You'll also see a slideshow that is just on loop with some of the courses that we've been teaching just this year. I just wanted to give you a flavor of the range of questions and topics that we explore here in CHID. And give you just a sense of what your student might be in for should they decide to join us. I'm also very happy to say that I will not be the only voice you'll be hearing from. We have two terrific CHIT students here with us, Sammy Panduro and Ailani Baldwin, who will introduce themselves in just a little bit. But I will actually stop the share for a second just so we can be a little bit more conversational and just say a word about our department. So some of you already know this, and that's why you're here. So I'll be brief, but I just want to underline that CHID is a very intentional learning community. We really don't want anyone to feel lost in our department because the University of Washington is a great place, but it's also a big place. You come here with 40,000 of your closest friends, so sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. CHID, in many ways, is like a small liberal arts experience within a large research university. And we really strive to know all our students well, try to really emphasize that students are at the center of our learning communities, and really provide the resources for students to ask the questions that are of interest to them. So I would be happy to say a little bit more about what we do. But before that, I just want to ask both our CHID students here, starting with Elani, to briefly introduce themselves. Just say a word maybe about how long they've been at the university, what they study, and maybe if they're pursuing any other majors or minors besides CHID. Elani, would you start us off?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Lonnie Baldwin. I'm a third year student here at the University of Washington. I am a double major, one in CHID and the other in political science, with a minor in leadership. I'm from Vancouver, Washington, so down by close to the southern south of Washington by Portland, Oregon, but my family is originally from Guam, specifically Haga and Salakofo. And what really brought me into CHID originally was the really open emergence of these combinations of different fields that are very interdisciplinary, whether that was art or English and history, and really seeing it all together and with each other in a sense. And so being able to conduct research that was focused on my interests, such as Pacific Islander studies, was really awesome to be able to partake in the CHID department and so many programs that the CHID department also offers, both study abroad and for personal research geared towards your academic fields and interests. And so, yeah, that's been my CHID journey so far.
Thank you, Elani. Sammy, would you introduce yourself briefly and maybe say why you're in CHID?
Hello, my name is Sammy Panduro and I go by she, her pronouns. I am a first year student here at UW and I am also double majoring in CHID and political science. And with a minor in gender, women's sexuality studies. I first heard about CHID through my older sister, Valeria, who she's a poli-sci major. And coming in, I wanted to do like sociology, I wanted to do anthropology, I wanted to do like everything. And she was like, CHID is where you need to go. CHID is where you need to be. Um, and it like Ilani said, it's very interdisciplinary and you get everything all in one. And something that I really appreciate is how like encouraging how encouraged it is for you just to speak freely, no matter if one, it's not like your thoughts are not linear whatsoever, even if it's just something that's like out of the blue, might not be like super specific to the connections you're trying to make, but still like can be part of it. And I don't know, it makes me feel so comfortable to just speak my mind, and there's never a doubt in my head about like my intellectuality, which I feel like is very different for any other field, especially like in political science for me. In classes, sometimes it's really hard to like speak up or feel that I can participate. But in CHID, it's just it's kind of like home at school. So I just think CHID is so awesome. Like yeah.
I love how you both described it, and you in many ways you all are anticipating the next question, which I wanted to ask both of you, and that's just how would you describe CHID? Because we are so different from other units, but I'm always curious, kind of how students experience the difference, feel the difference. So maybe starting with you, Sammy, if you had to describe CHID, what are some words or some kind of thoughts about what CHID is, what it feels
For me, CHID allows you to open like a completely different part of like y- your critical thinking brain. You kind of are like submerged into like this new way of learning and also teaching because I think that's another big thing here in CHID. It's we're all teachers. And that's something that I also really appreciate about like faculty. I haven't had too many CHID classes just yet, but that's something that I really love because it's not something that is usually given to you and as like in our education system, but it's like bouncing off each other and the way that we all just like give and take. But for me specifically, I think it's really diving into like that part. Like I don't really know how to explain it like too well. Like I'm just kind of like rambling. Um, but it's like a completely different world in a way, but it's a really good one.
Thanks, Sammy. Alani, how would you describe CHID?
I mean, Sammy really defined it perfectly, and falling on top of it, it really is unique and one of a kind department. I'm very lucky to have found it. Found it in a very funny, but also as Chid is in a very unique way, um, through just passion and through other people who cared about that passion and cared about that interdisciplinary field work. And so that was really important. But if I could best describe CHID, I would say it's almost like a liberal arts in this like research context school in which students really are able to understand the world around them in a very different and unique way. And it's really awesome. And if you can dream it, you can CHID it is what I like to say. So yeah.
Okay, okay, we need to
Yeah.
put that on a bumper sticker. Yeah, I like that. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever heard you put it that way. That works, Ilani.
Yeah. You can dream it, you can CHID it. So yeah, stick by that.
I love it. I love it. I would maybe you all have said it so well. I don't think I would disagree with anything of what you said. But I think one of the things that's really important when we talk about interdisciplinarity, um, lots of units are interdisciplinary. Lots of units try to combine different things. One of the things that I think CHID really does is it really questions so many ways of knowing, and it does it not in a skeptical way, but I'd say it in a generous way. Like we really want to encourage you to think about what the world looks like if we think about it as a poet or as a biologist or as a mathematician. Like we want to know kind of what that means, but also that there are ways of knowing outside of the university. There are native ways of knowing. There are community-based practices. There's an ecology of knowledges, and CHID wants you to understand them and find the ones that are the most relevant to you. The other maybe kind of bumper sticker kind of description that I would add is I feel that CHID is kind of honors for the people. Like we have a real family resemblance with UW honors program, which is very selective, and I think maybe in a way it's kind of an old school approach to thinking about how do we sort kind of people into particular ways. And CHID wants to be very intellectual, but we're also very democratic. We're very open. It's an open major, so we just have a very different kind of vibe, and so it's less hierarchical, I would say, than lots of other units. I don't know if you would agree with that, Sammy and Elani.
Yeah, and I want to add another thing. I think something very different from other interdisciplinary fields. One thing that I feel is very big in CHID, and kind of like Ailani's saying, is like CHID is just CHID. Like it's so CHID. Like it's just so CHID. But I it invites and welcomes contradiction in such a way that contradiction no longer feels like a contradiction. It's just what it is and it just exists and it's our reality. And I feel like that is so important um to have and to like be aware of because in other fields, I feel everything is very linear and there always has to be a right answer and it's just one thing, but it's never only one. So I think that's also a huge part of CHID.
Ilani, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, you both said it so well. And then another core aspect that I feel like we haven't touched upon that should I also really greatly appreciate a part of the program is the action-oriented sense of it. Students are really engaged with community work, engaged with taking action within their projects very deeply and passionately because it is so personal to them or has brought new ideas to their lives and has brought new ideas and perspectives. And like Sammy said, those contradictions, like CHID is always inviting to those contradictions um, and CHID is always open to new ideas that anything is really possible. And for me, actually, personally, I was able to go to Guam for the first time because of CHID, and that will forever change my life. And I don't think I would have been able to do it without this program. And so, again, that action part of CHID has meant the world to me and is means a lot to other students as well. So CHID awesome.
That's terrific. Thank you both. So I have one more prepared question for both Sammy and Elani, and then I'd love to open it up to see if there's questions from the folks who are joining us on this phone call. And if you have questions, you can certainly just pop them in the chat or just raise your digital hand and ask them. But we'd love to know kind of what's on your mind. And so the last question I want to ask, and maybe I'll start with Elani this time, is about, is there a favorite CHID course, a CHID experience, a CHID moment, one or two? I'm just curious, whatever kind of beeps to your mind right now. I'd just love to, maybe if you can give us a little bit of an example of one thing that was really, kind of left an impact for me in this department. Elani?
Yeah, there's so many. The first that came to mind because it was pretty recent. Last quarter I took a class with a great, amazing professor, Maria Elena Garcia, and it was a CHID 395 class on an interdisciplinary practices lab. So really focusing on ethnographic research with if people aren't familiar, is really research based on communities in a very ethical sense, an ethical way. And I was able to actually kind of think about diaspora communities, specifically Pacific Islander diaspora, but also thinking about dream ethnography and poetry and kind of combining the two with a story I did called Conversations with a Talking Turtle. And I also actually, the cool thing about CHID, doing what I can do and dreaming it, I was able to interpret the poem into a skateboard to kind of bring in that sense of liberation and home for diaspora students who surf or skate to be able to connect with their culture and just that sense of movement and what it means for the body and what it means for healing. And so yeah, that was my favorite class, and that was probably my favorite project I'll ever do here at UW and here in the CHID program. So yeah.
Thanks, Elani. How about you, Sam? Is there a CHID course or memory that sticks with you?
So I'm freshly into it. So I took obviously CHID 101 last quarter with Tony, which was honestly like although it was extremely like introductory to what CHID is, like what we will be doing. I really enjoyed going to the panel of the thesis that were going to be presented by the seniors. I just loved how um there was so much freedom to do what you wanted, and it really motivated me because kind of like Ilani is saying, it's like CHID gives you the possibility to do what you want, and I felt that it reinforced my aspirations for the future. But I'm currently taking art, power, and violence in Latin America with Maria Elena Garcia, and it's been so amazing. I absolutely love that class. I could be in the CHID lounge forever. As MD says, we need more than 2 hours. But that's currently one of my favorite class so far that I've taken. Like
That's terrific. I'm so glad to hear that these things are fresh, and also that Mariela Garcia is doing a very good job all over all over the university. I should, for those of you who don't know her, I should say that Professor Garcia is a recipient of the UW's Distinguished Teaching Award. And she's one of 4 CHID faculty members that have won that award. It's the highest teaching honor that the university gives. So the fact that we're a relatively small department, but we have 4 faculty members who have won that award, I think really says a lot about how important teaching is to us. In addition to the terrific memories and moments and courses that Elani and Sammy have mentioned, I would also add that study abroad is a real memorable experience for many students. Elani mentioned her experience. She personalized a study abroad program with our supervision to Guam, which is one path to go. Other students go on more group kind of based experiences. In fact, Sammy is currently enrolled in a study abroad program to Ecuador that will be early fall start, which will be focused on agroecology and working with Andean and Amazonian farmers in that country. We have other programs. We have a program in art and politics in Peru, a similar one in South Asia and India that run by Anu Taranath, who also won the Distinguished Teaching Award. We have programs in Europe, and others in Mexico, and all parts of the world. So there's a lot of ways that students really feel that CHID allows them to pursue their interests close to home and also globally. So it's a really exciting place. But I do want to pause and see if there's questions. I see there's one question. Laura, would you like just to verbalize your question?
Hi, yes, this is
Oh,
actually I got a chance to meet you on Saturday at
yes. Sorry, I
at the
called you by the
museum.
wrong name.
Yeah, that's my wife's name. I forgot it was her computer. I just wanted to first of all thank you. We literally, after talking to you, he went down and signed up to go to the University of Washington because of what you said. So he's super excited for CHID, and we're coming for sure. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today because he's in a play and they had to do like rehearsals and stuff. But he wanted me to ask you, and I think you guys sort of already mentioned this, but because he was thinking if he could double major, if that was an option. It definitely sounds like you can. So I was just wondering how easy that was in order to combine both together. He loves CHID and the idea of CHID, but he has a lot of AP classes, so he thought that it would be fun to try to do another double major, and it sounds awesome that you both are. So maybe if you guys could explain how hard that is to do.
That's great. So I'm gonna kick it over to first Alani and then Sammy because they're all both political science double majors and they have other things going on. So how would you describe it? Was it a heavy lift? Is it pretty straightforward, Alani? How would you describe it?
Yeah, so I actually intentionally came in as a UW admitted student with a political science major. I'd gone credit from both AP Human Geography and AP Government and Politics and an AP English language class that credited overruled, and then I was directly admitted into political science, so it worked out in the end. But however, when I had got introduced to CHID in the department in the program, I was like, oh, maybe I should double. And I was then from there, I went to an academic advisor, met with them, and both an academic advisor in the political science department, but also in the CHID department, who I'm going to shout out our CHID department advisor, Cynthia Anderson. Amazing. Love her so much. Love you if she's watching this. But I went up to her and we talked about what it would look like if I double majored in both CHID and political science. And it all worked out with my schedule and my interest and what I want to do beyond just my undergrad as well. And so yeah, and the process was very easy and simple, and you just have to sign a form and she guides you through it, and it's pretty easy. But I really highly recommend it if they are interested.
Sammy, would you agree with that?
Yes, like Ilani said, shout out Cynthia. She makes it such kind of like a smooth transition into like what your academic years are going to look like for like like your whole college career, which is like so amazing that it's like because it's hard to understand even when you do the degree audit, it can be really confusing. But everything was really smoothly when I decided that I wanted to double major. Another thing is that depending on what major you want to double with or whatever you're pairing it, and even a minor, it's really cool that a lot of your classes can actually intersect and you don't have to like be overwhelmed by the idea like all of these courses and what if I don't have time to take all of these credits because one of your classes can count for like both your majors or like both your majors and your minors. So I think that's also really awesome. But I think the only thing is that sometimes for I guess for me, and maybe Ilani too, it could be reading heavy. But other than that, everything is like pretty smooth.
Yes, we will ask you to read. That will happen, and but hopefully, I think the reading will be it'll be interesting. And we also want you to understand that in addition to kind of consuming knowledge, students are already producing knowledge. So we really kind of take that very seriously from the very start of your time here at the University of Washington. You are producing knowledge, and we want to help you to really be intentional about how to do that and how to find the kind of knowledge traditions that are most useful for you. I want to add that you can major with other things besides political science. Let me just make that clear. The folks who are here are brilliant and just happen to be also interested in a lot of political questions. But we have folks who double major in art. Some are doing pre-med, and that's really interesting. So they're doing the kind of all the pre-med requirements with a CHID degree. In fact, on our YouTube channel for the department, we have a recent panel of alum who graduated with a degree in CHID and went on. One is at Harvard Medical School, finishing her MD, and another alum actually is a faculty member at the University of Washington in our School of Medicine, who did her degree in the humanities. So you can do a humanities degree and also pursue all the pre-med prereqs to do that. We have folks who combine it with math. Some combine it with international studies. So it really is, it's in terms of credits, it's not one of the bigger majors. So when we don't have a ton of requirements, so there's a lot of flexibility, as both Sammy and Elani are saying, that you can combine it with your other interests, and it's pretty seamless. The other thing is that our study abroad programs, we also designed many of them to click off requirements, both for the university general requirements and also the major requirements. So if you do one over the summer, that allows you to get a little bit more, a bit of a head start on those other degree plans as well. Are there any other questions or lingering doubts about CHID? As you think about it, I wanted just to kind of invite both Elani and Sammy to talk about maybe even their own research, or Sammy mentioned we always have presentations of the senior thesis projects that are about to be completed. So I'd love it if there's one that kind of sticks with you. I'll start by mentioning one. Tisby Reinhardt, who is a graduating senior this year, has actually written a book it's a novel. It's a fictionalized account of her own experience with outdoor education, and also a critical examination in what many people call the troubled teen industry. And some folks go out and do these kind of wilderness education, and so she looks at some of the complications and some of the ways that conjures up the history of only certain kinds of people having access to nature, and how race and colonialism has sort of set the stage for some of those education programs. And coincidentally, tomorrow we're recording this on Monday, April 22nd, but on the 23rd, we're actually going to have a panel discussion with Tisby and two other CHID friends to talk about how you can find a career in outdoor education, but also how you can be critical about it. So which again, I think is one of those kind of contradictory things that Sammy was talking about. How can you pursue these different things, but also have your critical sensibilities on as you do them. So Sammy or Elani, is there any other thesis projects or your own research that you just want to say a word about so people get a sense of what we're doing in CHID?
I can kick it off. I'm actually doing this summer a Summer Institute Arts and Humanities program, which is a program for students who are interested in research centered around the arts and humanities or in those fields. And actually, Maria Elena Garcia, Professor Maria Elena Garcia is one of the co-leading faculty that is part of SIA, which is really awesome. And so my research project that I'm doing this summer is going to be a screenplay, which will be about a young girl who moves in with her grandparents for the first time, and kind of these two different cultures meet, and kind of that diaspora aspect again, but also what it means to be Pacific Islander, what it means to be with family, and so many of those core elements. And so yeah, and I also hope to, in the future, write more papers about militarization on Guam, and specifically United States territories, and what that means for Indigenous rights and self-determination in the Pacific. So yeah.
It's fantastic. Sammy, are there any projects you want to shout out?
One of the projects that I learned about that is kind of being worked on right now by a CHID senior that we talked about in Tony's 101 class too, and it has come up in other areas. It's about being Black in study abroad. I think that's so interesting, especially like obviously being Black in study abroad and then being POC, like of any other ethnicity or race is really interesting, and I think it's kind of overlooked. So that was really cool. And for me, something that I'm kind of working on for my CHID class with Maria Elena is for my final project, like essay, I really want to interview like kind of like okay, it's kind of a diaspora concept, kind of like Elani, as we're learning about the genocides and violence in Latin America, especially South America and Peru right now. I have friends that are Peruvian, Salvadorian, Guatemalan, and I want to be able to interview them and talk about immigration. Immigration is a very big and personal thing for me, coming from a mixed status family. So that's I'm really excited to be able to interview, well, not really interview, but just have conversations with other individuals that can share their experience. So yeah.
That's terrific. No, thank you both for those really terrific examples of both the work that you're doing and also the kind of really interesting questions that your fellow students are pursuing in CHID. It's a really special program, and as you can tell, it's a place where you can really pursue the things that are most important to you. And I think the thing that really I'd like to just underline is that we want you to bring your whole self into your education. We really want to get to know you as people, and we really want to make sure that you feel that CHID is a place where you feel seen and you feel heard. And that sounds like maybe what you should expect everywhere, but often it's a challenge. I mean, I think there are some parts of the university where it's, you're surrounded by 300 people in a lecture hall, and that can be tough to navigate. And CHID is maybe the opposite of that kind of experience. So we pride ourselves in that, and we think it's a place where you can ask big questions, but often in intimate settings. So that coziness, I think, is really good for asking really good questions, and we're sharp with ideas, but I think we're gentle with each other, and I think that's one of the things that characterizes CHID. I'll pause to see if there's any other questions, and if there aren't questions, I maybe might invite Sammy and Ilani just to leave us with any final words that they want new admitted folks or the parents of new admitted students, things that they want to know as they're considering the University of Washington, because there's lots to choose from here at the UW. So I know that you are on the cusp or have just made a big decision for your family. So if there aren't any questions, I might just start with Ilani and see if there's anything else you want to say about CHID or maybe just the University of Washington, or anything else you want to just kind of some final words for us.
Yeah. Actually, it's a huge month for me and a huge day. My grandpa successfully made it out of surgery, which is great. But I'm a first generation student, and I actually wouldn't have been able to attend the University of Washington if it weren't for a full ride scholarship. And I'm very grateful and very lucky. And the best part about CHID is that even though I'm very far from home and I miss my family very much, I still feel like I have a community and family here. I've been provided with so many fruitful experiences and opportunities by CHID. For myself and for my family and for my community that I will always forever be grateful for, and both from the CHID department and UW. And I just, it's amazing. I love CHID and I love University of Washington, and Seattle isn't too bad. I mean, the rain kind of sucks here and there, but you kind of get used to it. But yeah, I mean, that's really what I have to say. It's a great place to be at this time. So yeah.
Sammy?
Yeah, kind of to bounce off what Ilani is saying, it really is like home, and everybody is so welcoming, and the people that you meet are just so awesome. And again, because it is a more intimate space, and like and the way that you're learning, it just allows you to connect with those in your class and like in such a way that you wouldn't be somewhere else. And CHID makes being at UW so much better than how I felt my like fall quarter before I took CHID classes. And I also like love the faculty, Tony, Maria Elena, Cynthia. Everybody they're just like, they make you feel so like you belong. And for me, like that's really important. And that's a really big thing that I feel like for a really long time I didn't have. So I just yeah, always keep an open mind.
Thank you both. Okay, I see one more question. So let's take that question before we go. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Just sort of more general question. North or west dorms?
North.
North? North? Okay. And then what level
North.
meal plan did you guys get for your freshman year?
I got level 1 and actually wiped through it very quickly. So
Oh, okay.
take that into account.
I feel like for me, I started off a little high because I didn't really know kind of like what to choose. So I randomly chose. And I got level 5 at first, and that was a lot. I think level 3 or 4 is the perfect fit.
It's the not too right, not too small, not too
Yes,
big, just the
exactly.
right.
All right. Thank you.
But
I
North
think everyone
North
has
kept
said
us all the
north.
way. Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Awesome. Thank you so much.
this is the nitty gritty. I'm so glad Ilani and Sammy are here because I would have no way of answering that question. Uh, that's great. I also just want to just underline and recognize that our advisor Cynthia Anderson has come up several times, and just as the university has a distinguished faculty award, we also have a distinguished staff award, and Cynthia Anderson is a recipient of that. So it's for those who know her, it's no surprise. She really is phenomenal. She really helps all students figure out their way through the university and in an incredibly welcoming and caring way. I should say, and I'm not trying to cast any shade on other units, but some parts of the university are moving towards a kind of a shared advising model where many departments share a number of very good advisors. We in CHID have retained our own advisors, so we're kind of doing what we can to kind of keep that CHID experience, that cozy one. And Cynthia has been really important for us. But I should say all our staff and faculty work very closely. Again, what we try to push against is the hierarchies of universities. Our staff and faculty and students work very closely together. You may have noticed that we are on a first name basis, which I think is not unusual in CHID. We give our students very much the permission to do that, but we want to take them seriously as the intellectuals that they are. And that's kind of part of the reason that it's more of a horizontal kind of place than top down. Well, this has been such a pleasure. It's been so, I really am so grateful to Sammy and for Elani for joining us and sharing the student's perspective, which is really the most important one for folks who are about to take this plunge into university life. And I want to thank you all for joining us. If you do have any questions, feel free to look us up on the UW webpage. I am delighted to answer more questions, and I really hope to see you all in the fall. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.